It began like any ordinary Friday night. Nothing special, nothing fancy, just a small gathering I'd arranged at our place. A few coworkers, some drinks, soft background music, and simple snacks. Alina, my wife of 5 years, had often said I kept my professional life too separate from her. So I figured I'd try to change that, let her meet the people I spent so much time with. Turns out that was a huge mistake. We spent the afternoon tidying up the house, putting together a cheese platter, lighting a few candles. She looked incredible that evening. Fitted dress, hair loose around her shoulders, heels that made her walk like she owned the room. I loved seeing her confident and lively. I just didn't realize she hadn't come to support me, she came to outshine me. For a while the night was fine. Light banter, work stories, a few people asking me about upcoming projects and promotions. Alina stayed nearby, sipping her wine and laughing at the conversations. Then around 10 p.m., everything took a turn. Jason, one of my coworkers, cracked a silly joke about guys who overcompensate. You know, the type who buy giant trucks or loud bikes to distract from the fact that they're not exactly impressive physically. He gestured downward and a few guys laughed. It wasn't aimed at anyone in particular, just a crude throwaway line. But Alina leaned forward, twirled her wineglass, and with a smirk said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Well, let's just say I married proof of that. The entire room went silent. Faces froze. I felt every pair of eyes flick toward me, then quickly away. It was like the floor dropped out from under me. My chest tightened, my mouth went dry, and I couldn't even decide how to react. Laugh it off? Call her out? Pretend it didn't bother me? I did none of that. I stood up, muttered something about needing air, and stepped onto the balcony. The cool breeze hit my face, but it didn't soothe anything. It just made me feel more isolated. Inside, I could hear the party trying to recover. Laughter starting again. Music continuing. But she didn't follow me. Not after 5 minutes. Not after 20. When I finally walked back inside, everyone acted like nothing had happened. And Alina, she looked at me as if everything was normal, like what she said was a harmless joke. Later that night, when we got into bed, I quietly asked her, "Why would you say that?" She shrugged, completely unfazed. "It was just a joke. Relax. You're so sensitive. Everyone knows I wasn't serious." That's when it hit me. Either she didn't understand the damage she caused, or she understood perfectly and simply didn't care. Because the truth was, that joke sliced right through insecurities I'd kept buried for years. Insecurities shaped by comparisons, comments, and society's stupid expectations of men. I wasn't broken, but I carried wounds she knew about. And she used them for entertainment. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stared at the ceiling, already planning what I would do next. Before sunrise, I got up quietly, grabbed a duffel bag I had hidden in the guest closet earlier, took my keys and wallet, and left my phone face down on the kitchen counter. No note. No explanation. And I disappeared. I drove 5 hours to my father's old lakeside cabin. Secluded, silent, no cell service. I cut myself off from everything. Work, home calls, all of it. The first day I just sat by the water, alone with my thoughts. I didn't drink or cry. I simply reflected on how fast someone who claims to love you can turn you into a punchline. By the second day she was calling everyone. My sister, my boss, even Jason, frantic, posting online, acting like she was the one abandoned without reason. On day 3 she found me. She pulled up in her silver sedan, jumped out with tears streaming down her face, already sobbing before she even reached me. "Oh my God, Andrew. I thought something happened to you." I looked at her calmly. "I'm not gone. I'm just done." She fell beside me, apologizing over and over, blaming the wine, saying she never meant to hurt me, insisting she thought I was strong enough to take a joke. But I told her something she wasn't prepared for. You don't get to choose how deep the knife goes when you're the one holding it. We talked for hours. I listened. But forgiveness didn't come. I wasn't ready, and I didn't know if I ever would be. When I returned to the city a week later, I didn't go home. I had already signed a lease for a furnished place a month earlier, something I'd done one night while she slept, just in case I ever needed a way out. That day I moved in. We're not divorced. We still talk sometimes. She's in therapy, she's written apologies, she's taken accountability. But I told her plainly, humiliation like that doesn't just disappear. It doesn't get erased by crying or letters or promises. Love doesn't always end with a dramatic explosion. Sometimes it fades slowly, drained away by 1,000 tiny cuts and quiet betrayals. But that night? That joke? That was the final wound, the one that finally made me walk away.